I'm not the one saying a tsunami will hit in July 2025, it's RYO TATSUKI who's saying that. To understand her, we first need to understand sleep and dreams. When we lie down and sleep, many times we dream. Some dreams we remember, some we don't. Even among the ones we remember, some people forget them in a day, others in a week, and some may take months. But ultimately, we all forget. But what if the person having the dream is an artist, a manga artist, and she draws every single dream neatly? What if she prints all those dreams into a book, and then all those drawn dreams start coming true in real life one after another? That's what's happening here. And today, we're going to unlock that mystery. The manga artist I'm talking about is named RYO TATSUKI. She was born around the 1950s. I think it was 1952. She's still alive. But she never chased fame or money. She simply drew what came to her in her dreams. You might ask, many people claim things, how seriously should we take them? The real question is, why are Japanese people scared right now? It's not just because of the 2025 tsunami prediction. RYO TATSUKI had already written in 1999 exactly where and how the 2011 tsunami would happen. And that's not all. She's made several diverse future predictions. Want to know what else? She predicted events involving specific people and incidents. COVID-19? Predicted. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake? Predicted. Even the 1995 Kobe earthquake. She even predicted the death of Freddie Mercury, the American pop star, on November 24th, 15 years before it happened. Now, even though she wasn't famous before, the sudden attention she's getting is all because of this July 2025 tsunami prediction. Everyone's scared, they're searching for her everywhere. So what are we going to do today? This mystery doesn't just concern the Japanese, it's relevant to Indians too. Let's study RYO TATSUKI's entire life and analyze everything she predicted one by one. From my side, I'll keep bringing you videos like this every day. Deep dives into global mysteries and new developments. Many of you watch to gain knowledge, but videos like these, especially mystery content, are now reaching a broader, newer audience. So I'm requesting you, if you want these videos to keep coming to you, hit the subscribe button below. Done? Okay, let's go. The manga book she printed in 1999 was titled, The Dreams I Saw. In it, there's an illustration related to the 2025 tsunami. She described boiling water with big bubbles in the south of Japan. She also drew a diamond-shaped danger zone and illustrated dragons moving underwater. Eventually, a giant wave crashes into Japan. But here's what you should really notice. The diamond-shaped zone she drew doesn't just include Japan. It includes Taiwan, Indonesia, and the Northern Mariana Islands too. The seismic reaction in the ocean could potentially affect the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, the entire East Coast. Remember the 2004 tsunami? Wonder where it started. Near Sumatra, right next to Indonesia. It spread all the way to Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Andhra Pradesh, killing tens of thousands. That's why what she's predicting now is making many Indians nervous too. Not just the Japanese or manga readers, but even Indian manga fans are a bit shaken. Some people dismiss this, saying she's doing it for attention or clout, but I'll give you my opinion at the end. One thing you should understand is, she never said, if this event happens, I'll become rich or famous. Not even once. She never said she tells horoscopes, she just said, this came in my dream so I drew it. That's it. She never claimed it was a prophecy. She was very clear on that. Now to understand her properly, we need to zoom in on her life. If you're familiar with Japan's manga and anime culture, you'll know it's one of the country's most powerful art forms. Just like Studio Ghibli, which we discussed earlier, RYO TATSUKI is one of those niche manga artists. But when she first started drawing, her art and manga books weren't that popular. She illustrated actively in the 1980s and 1990s. She created many manga books. Some were just stories, but others were literal illustrations of her dreams. Since she wasn't very popular back then, she never came into the spotlight. No one dissected her point of view or tried to understand what she was drawing. But everything changed when her book, The Dreams I Saw, was released in 1999. Even then, it was released as a limited edition. If you look closely at the book's cover, you'll see a massive wave swallowing a city, with RYO TATSUKI's face drawn in front of it. At the time, no one in Japan imagined a tsunami would come. Even during the 2004 tsunami that hit India through Indonesia, Japan wasn't affected much, but in 2011, when that strong tsunami hit northeastern Japan, entire towns were wiped out by 40-meter-high waves. The Tohoku tsunami claimed more than 20,000 lives. That's when this manga book suddenly became famous. People who had read it earlier recalled, wait, wasn't this in that manga from 12 years ago? They took it out again and found RYO TATSUKI's illustrations were strikingly similar to real-life events. She had clearly mentioned a tsunami hitting in 2011. After that, the books were republished and became massive hits. This brought renewed interest in RYO TATSUKI herself. Who is she? What's her plan? What's her sketch? People began digging up her old manga books and comparing the illustrations to real-life events. Turns out not just one or two, but many of her dream-based drawings came true. Let me give you a few examples. In 1992, she drew an illustration and wrote about a royal person dying inside a tunnel under flashing lights. She drew a woman whose look and hairstyle matched Princess Diana. Even if we aren't familiar with her, Princess Diana is still a legendary figure in Britain and Europe. She was King Charles's ex-wife. He had another affair which led to their divorce. In British circles, even today she remains very famous across Europe. She's the ex-wife of King Charles. As he had another love affair, he troubled her and eventually gave her a divorce. She was simply trying to live her life. One day while she was traveling in a car with her Egyptian boyfriend, this paparazzi culture started becoming immensely popular. It's the same culture we now see with Bollywood and Hollywood celebrities. Back then, it was just starting to rise. Those weren't digital cameras like today. People used analog cameras with flash, chasing celebrities from a distance using zoom lenses to get a single photo. A single photo of Princess Diana would sell for $100,000 or even $200,000 at the time because she was extremely beautiful and had a very kind heart. She was deeply involved in philanthropic activities, and people genuinely believed in her goodness. When Charles divorced her, people thought, she's the princess we want. That created an enormous demand for her images, and from that demand, the whole paparazzi culture was born. In fact, she became the first cultural paparazzi icon. Wherever she went, paparazzi would follow. One night, while she was with her Egyptian boyfriend, being followed as usual, the driver, who had reportedly consumed some alcohol, was speeding through the streets of Paris. He entered a tunnel, and due to the combination of speed, intoxication, and the chaos of the paparazzi chasing them, the car crashed inside the tunnel, and she died. Even after her death, photographers were still trying to take pictures. It was past midnight. Anyway, to truly talk about Diana, we need a separate video. She's even featured in Madame Tussauds alongside other celebs in Bangkok. Now here's something to note. This incident happened in 1997. But 5 years earlier, in 1992, RYO TATSUKI had written in her manga book about a royal dying in a tunnel due to flashing lights. The look, feel, height, hair, everything in that illustration matched Princess Diana. Also, Freddie Mercury died in 1991, on November 24th. In her book, RYO had drawn an image saying, "America's rising star will suddenly stop shining." She named the person Freddie, but no one at that time, especially in Japan, would have guessed who that meant. She said she had this dream twice, once in 1976, and again in 1981, 15 years and 10 years before his actual death. She drew all of this in her book long before it happened. Then came our recent global event, a virus that stopped the entire world for nearly 1 or 2 years. She had already written in the 1990s that a similar virus would come in 2020, peak in April, disappear, and then return after 10 years, in 2030. All of this was written in various books from the 90s. As we dig through these books now, we find such strange links. Okay, so far we've only talked about the past, but when we hear about her story, there's a curiosity to know, what has she said about the future? I felt that curiosity too. In fact, even though she's not in the limelight anymore, there's still a small Twitter account that occasionally posts cryptic notes or drawings of hers. Her photos are very hard to find, they're blurry or hidden in obscure corners. She never appeared in media or gave interviews. In fact, the Japanese government has never given her any recognition or award. She has become more of a cult icon, and that's it. So now let's talk about July 2025. She drew images suggesting a giant underwater eruption, something like dragons emerging, affecting South Japan, the Philippines, Taiwan, and Indonesia, completely engulfing the region. In 1991, she also predicted that Mount Fuji in Japan would erupt in 2021. She said that if it didn't erupt in 2021, then it would surely erupt 20 years later in 2041. And in 2026, she predicted a major earthquake in Japan. But most importantly, she wrote that in 2040, a non-human life form would appear. Please underline this, non-human life form. When we think about Diana's death and those tunnel flashlights, looking back now it makes sense. But if it hadn't happened, how would we interpret that? For example, if someone had said in 1995, 2 years before Diana's death, tunnel flashlights, we wouldn't have thought of paparazzi or a crash. In the same way, what do we think of when she says non-human life form? Does that mean they'll look like us? Or will they be aliens, extraterrestrial beings? She says that by 2040, this non-human life form will become common on Earth. We'll establish contact with it. That's an exciting thought. When I remembered that, I thought of some of her drawings, but to interpret them, we really need imagination. For example, in one picture she drew, there are huge crowds of people, complete darkness, everyone holding lights. She wrote, "A day like this will come." What could that be? Perhaps a reference to the disruption of Earth's magnetic fields, which she wrote about too, though she didn't mention a specific year. She suggested a time when the Earth's magnetic fields would be completely disturbed, indirectly hinting at a massive climate change. Then, she drew human beings as hollow shell-like figures, meaning people with no inner identity or information, just empty shells. What does that even mean? We've now covered almost everything she talked about. The Kobe earthquake, Princess Diana, Freddie Mercury, the upcoming tsunami in 2025, the arrival of non-human life in 2040, and the disruption of magnetic fields. When I share all this, I feel one thing clearly. She isn't trying to scare us. She's warning us. But just because something scary might happen, we shouldn't stop living our lives. What's meant to happen will happen. We shouldn't be pessimistic or overly optimistic. We're here on this earth to do our duties. We should do our work and move on. Being scared doesn't change anything. Don't ever let fear stop you from doing what you need to do. When I hear about these upcoming magnetic field disruptions, one thing keeps coming to my mind. Even if she, RYO TATSUKI, is telling us that something terrible is going to happen, we shouldn't stop doing what we're supposed to do out of fear. Whatever is meant to happen will happen. In situations like this, we shouldn't be pessimistic or overly optimistic. We came to this earth to do our work, and we should just focus on that and move forward. What's the point of being scared? Will it change anything? If we let that fear stop us from doing what we need to do in the present moment, that's never okay. Never let that happen. At the same time, RYO TATSUKI herself never did this for any commercial purpose. She just drew what she felt in her heart, her dreams, like pictures. So I don't have any specific opinion about her, certainly no negative impression. And we must remember, even if we talk about tsunamis, earthquakes, natural disasters, or calamities, these things occur somewhere every 50 or 100 years. So when someone predicts them and they do happen, it's natural for us to believe they have some kind of extra power. But at the same time, believing too deeply and stopping our work because of that isn't right either. If a thought puts us in fear and damages our productivity, we need to take that thought and set it aside. Comparing her to someone like Baba Vanga or our own Veera Brahmagaru isn't quite right because each of them had a different thought process. In fact, Baba Vanga spoke about 9/11, the 2004 tsunami, Barack Obama's presidency, and even predicted an economic crisis during his term. She also spoke about COVID. Likewise, Veera Brahmagaru made many predictions. No need for me to explain those specifically now. This lady, RYO TATSUKI, is still alive, and just because she came forward and said something doesn't mean it's something totally new or shocking. She came forward once in 2021 and said, "I just drew what I dreamt." In fact, if someone feels something, they should draw or express it. This isn't like some horoscope reading, it's just that our thoughts have power, and she acknowledged that. She hasn't come out again in 2025, no one even knows where she is right now. She seems to be living alone somewhere. Even when I search for her photos, they're hard to find. Anyway, what do you feel about this whole incident? Definitely write it in the comments. Do you believe what she says? Or do you want to take it with a pinch of salt? That's entirely up to you. But let everyone know. Did I miss any point? Did she say anything more that I should add? If so, let's do it. Let the comment section be yours. It's a good place for discussion. Now, for today's MCQ question related to Japan, Tamura District and Kenrokuin Garden, these two are in which Japanese city? Option A, Kyoto. Option B, Kanazawa. Option C, Sapporo. Option D, Nara. Those who know the answer, write it below. And if you've come this far in the video, that means you're finding value in what I'm saying. Thank you so much for that. The fact that you're watching till this point, that intention to fully consume this knowledge, is what inspires me. You are my inspiration. Not a second should be wasted. Every second should add value to you. At the same time, if you're new here and you've come this far, it means you'd probably want to watch every video I release daily, so hit that subscribe button below. The moment I post a video, it'll come straight to your phone or TV. Subscribe done? Done. I'll see you again tomorrow. Let's all grow together. Let's rise together. Let's rise above ignorance. Let's rise above arrogance. Let's rise above hate.